A heavy war chariot is only as lethal as its weakest component. It does not matter how powerful the horses are or how skilled the archer standing inside it is. If a single wooden wheel splinters in the mud, the vehicle violently collapses on itself. Over 2,000 years ago, the ancient Indian political strategist Chanakya observed this exact mechanical vulnerability and applied it to the machinery of an empire. In his masterwork on statecraft, the Arthaśāstra, he wrote a strict absolute rule. Sovereignty is possible only with assistance. A single wheel can never move. To move the state chariot, a monarch requires an Amātyas, an inner circle of ministers. These advisors are essential to manage taxation, enforce laws, and run the daily operations of the empire. But this proximity comes with a terrifying trade-off. The very people granted the authority to protect the king are also the only ones close enough to easily destroy him. Unchecked ambition from within the inner circle often proves more lethal than any invading army marching across the border. Historically, rulers tried to mitigate this threat by filling their courts with known quantities. They surrounded themselves with childhood friends, wealthy aristocrats, or sycophants who simply inherited their positions from prominent families. Chanakya rejected this completely. He argued that familial ties and inherited wealth mean nothing when running a state. Instead, he mandated a rigorous meritocracy, stating that a person's ability can only be inferred from their measurable capacity shown in actual work. But meritocracy introduces a lethal new variable. By selecting ministers based purely on high intelligence, eloquence, and raw competence, the state is actively recruiting the exact type of people smart enough to successfully stage a coup. Finding raw talent is the easiest part of statecraft. The true challenge is engineering a system that mathematically guarantees a highly capable minister will remain completely incorruptible. To solve this, the Arthaśāstra details a covert psychological operation. Once a candidate passes the basic vetting for intelligence and skill, they are secretly subjected to the Apāta, a series of extreme, state-sponsored stress tests. The first is the religious allurement. The king intentionally dismisses a high priest from the court. This priest then approaches the candidate in secret, claiming the monarch is unrighteous, and urges them to join a holy rebellion. This test isolates whether a candidate will use religious zeal or ideological justification as a reason to abandon their oath to the crown. Next comes the monetary allurement. A disgraced military commander corners the candidate, offering immense illicit wealth. The price for this silver is simple: murder the king. These weaponized stress tests are engineered to actively hunt for a candidate's specific breaking point. If the candidate refuses the money, they face the love allurement. A female spy, disguised as an ascetic, informs the candidate that the queen is enamored with them and has arranged a secret rendezvous. Finally, the most desperate trial, the fear allurement. A spy fakes their own arrest, approaching the candidate in a panic. They claim the king is on a paranoid purge and incite the candidate to join a violent rebellion simply to save their own life. Throughout this entire ordeal, the candidate is completely unaware that they are surrounded by the state's espionage apparatus. Spies disguised as classmates and servants are meticulously observing and recording their reactions to every single temptation. This diagram maps the state's pragmatic response to failure. Corrupted candidates aren't necessarily executed. Instead, their specific weakness determines their placement. Those failing the monetary test are placed in revenue collection under watch, while general failures are banished to manage mines or timber forests. Only the rare individuals who successfully navigate and survive all four allurements are trusted with the ultimate title, Prime Minister. In Chanakya's paranoid architecture, a verbal promise of loyalty is entirely worthless. Trust is only granted after a person's character has survived the absolute limits of human temptation. This extreme vetting produced a highly specific environment inside the Mauryan court. Chandragupta was not surrounded by fearful subordinates, but by a council of proven equals who were completely unafraid to debate the monarch. We see the historical reality of this in the edicts of Chandragupta's grandson, Ashoka. Carved into stone pillars across the subcontinent, these records confirm a culture of frequent consultation, where ministers were legally empowered to advise on and challenge state regulations. Yet, the hierarchy remained intact. While robust advice and debate were mandatory, the final decisive action always rested securely with the king. A truly secure sovereign doesn't demand silence or yes men. He surrounds himself with rigorously vetted peers, whose proven loyalty affords them the capacity for absolute, brutal honesty. The ultimate test of this political philosophy comes when confronting an enemy who is hyper-competent and perfectly loyal to a dead regime. In the classical Sanskrit play Mudrakshasa, we meet Rakshasa. He is a brave, fiercely loyal politician who served the recently destroyed Nanda dynasty and who has spent the entire play actively trying to assassinate the new king. Most advisors would demand Rakshasa's immediate execution, but Chanakya recognizes something rare. Rakshasa's fierce, stubborn loyalty to his former master is exactly the incorruptible trait the new Mauryan state desperately needs. The political chess game reaches its climax. Rakshasa is completely outmaneuvered and cornered in a dark corridor. He turns to face his bitter rival, fully expecting to be put to death. Instead of ordering an execution, Chanakya hands his mortal enemy the prime minister's seal. True statecraft is achieved when a leader's ultimate allegiance is to the Rashtra, the nation. By suppressing personal vengeance and forgiving high treason, a true strategist can transform the state's greatest threat into its greatest guardian.